Hi guys, hello and welcome back to yourstory.com. In search of an interesting story, we have come across Ezetap, and today we are joined with Mr. Byas Nambisan. He's the CEO of Ezetap, and as interesting as his story is, I have just come to realize that he has an interesting name going on in the company. He's the Byasman turned bossman of the company.
Yeah.
Welcome, Byas. Tell us about the story. How did this name come about?
Well, thanks, Sateshna. I suspect it's my marketing team who may have had that
Right.
influence.
Right.
You know, we were doing an event within Ezetap where we were giving each of our projects,
Right.
creative, fun names,
Right.
and a little story behind each of them. We
Right.
actually chose more movies, etc.
Right.
And these guys were thinking about something about me. And he said, "Oh, look, Byas has become the boss. So Byas man has turned boss man."
Right.
And got posted on I guess on LinkedIn or Twitter.
Right.
And so that's sort of
Right. So the
stuff.
CEO, you have to take up some additional responsibility and newer challenges. Tell us about it. What happened? What was the aftermath like?
Part of the transition was simple.
Right.
Because this is a team I was with for 4.5 years. Everyone knew me. I did a lot of the stuff
Right.
already.
Right.
The biggest part of the change was, in my previous role, Bobby and I operated. He was the captain and I was the co-pilot.
Right.
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 And
Bobby is just in case our viewers are
Bobby is Abhijit.
Right.
Abhijit
Right.
Bose, who is CEO and
Correct.
co-founder,
Right.
friend. And, the nice thing about being in the co-pilot role is,
Right.
sometimes you can say, you know what, Bobby, the ship's yours. I'm going to turn off, right?
And you're always prepared for emergencies.
We're always prepared for emergencies, but
Yeah.
I always knew that, hey, look, I could take a mental day off,
Right.
and go home and not worry about the problem. I
Yeah.
could just say, look, it's Bobby's problem,
Yeah.
today. Now that I'm in the captain's chair,
It's always your problem.
It's always my problem,
Right,
right? So
right.
there is no. So that was the biggest difference,
Right,
honestly, right?
right.
Is that it was I'm constantly on, and that was a change.
But has not having the founder changed anything otherwise in the Ezetap?
Not really,
Right.
because the founders are still engaged. Bobby's on our board.
Right.
We're neighbors.
Right.
So we're still engaged.
It's a
And
process.
It's a process,
Yeah.
right? And it's an evolution. And look, every company goes through change. People come in,
Right.
people go. I think the thing that he would be proud of, and I'm proud of, we're creating something that's bigger than us.
Right.
That it should be able to go on without us,
Right.
right?
Right.
And and I think that's happening.
Right. So let's talk about Ezetap. It has been like 8 years for you guys.
Yeah.
What has changed over the years? What are your offerings and what have you added to it over the years?
I think, it's every year is different, every month is different.
Right.
We're constantly growing, and it's an exciting space where things are always changing.
Right.
If you're not innovating, in India, even the government is innovating. Right? So
Exactly.
we got to be
Yeah.
outthinking the government in some
Yeah.
space, which is
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I think for us, what's happening is, our full product story. We've always been a very tech and solution-centric story,
Correct.
right? With deep integration into our clients, which, they love our ability to easily create a custom solution for them that wraps around the way they work,
Right.
versus them having to adapt to how payments, work. And so we do custom integrations for our client.
Right.
And I think what's changed over time is we've become, our product stack has become much more complete, much more polished, and we've constantly grown, and we've now expanded internationally,
Right.
and expanding, largely in government space,
Right.
as well as now getting into the modern retail space. So, our bread and butter, we started with e-commerce,
Right.
the mobile delivery. We've gone much beyond that now.
Right. So what are the recent launches, if you can?
So, recently we've, launched EMI products, we've launched
Right.
UPI, we've launched multi-bank, and we've launched a whole range of devices. So one of the
Right.
things that's different about us is that we're device agnostic, and the way we're architected allows us to plug and play different solutions.
Right.
So you could have a Verifone terminal on the counter, a PAX device for queue busting, a kiosk solution by a third player.
Right.
We can mix and match all of those things. So we've brought a lot of devices. I mean, we lead in Android, integrated Android smart POSes in India, in the sense that we brought them into the country. We were the first major players to deploy those. We offer about 4 or 5 Android solutions today, right? More than anyone else.
Right.
And I think those are the things we've brought into the market, and now we're seeing great adoption.
Tell us about the government to consumer space a bit. What's happening there? What's the scope like right now?
Look, I honestly don't know. I know it's big. I can't put a number on it, but I just see the growth happening from state to state.
Right, absolutely.
Everyone's going, and we're seeing just incredible. And government, when you say government, you think of it as one sector, but it really isn't. It's not.
Yeah,
There's so many things, right?
Exactly.
There's public distribution, benefits, utilities, transportation, police, taxation. All of those are different players, different sectors.
Right.
But I think in the end, it's about creating that digital infrastructure and permeating that throughout the fabric of India, right? And that's exciting, for me, because again, I want to see that development happen. And we're seeing these deployments, our Android devices being deployed in Tumkur, in Greater Chennai Corporation, with
So
IOC,
a lot of smaller cities and
smaller cities
towns,
expanding,
tier 2, tier 3
3s,
places.
right?
Yeah.
IOCL with our LPG distribution is across the country.
Correct.
It's across the country, small place. Everybody uses LPG. Rajasthan has gone. Rajcomp is across the entire state. It's a huge program. Covers every district and taluka. In that state.
Yeah.
So we're seeing more and more of that, and we're excited to participate in that and spread that. We're not thinking just tier 1, tier 2, but this is really deployment across the length and breadth of India.
Right. And since you are working with so many state and government agencies, I think you're the best person to answer this. It comes with a set of its own challenges, correct? What are those, and how do you go about tackling them?
I think working with the government is a skill set that not everybody has.
Right. And something that Ezetap has mastered.
So, we've mastered by not doing it directly.
Okay.
Right? We've partnered with people who know.
Right.
And look, it's the reality. Government requires somebody to provide a full turnkey solution.
Correct.
They're not integrators. They're not going to get payments from one, hardware from another, software from another, and do that integration. They're looking for somebody to come in and provide the whole solution.
Exactly.
And there's a great ecosystem of system integrators in the country, and we work with all of them. And we work with them, show them the value of our payment platform. So when they build a solution, the payment engine inside is Ezetap.
Right.
And that also has the benefit that when we work with government, we're very often working with a system integrator or a party that knows how to deal with the government, is well connected, and knows how to deal with the nuances and the intricacies of the government.
Right.
And we are just dealing with another corporate entity.
Right.
So that is a benefit. Or we work with our bank partners, also, who also know how to deal with the government, and we'll work with them.
Right.
So.
And we all know how the past 5 years have been sort of integral in pushing towards the digitization aspect.
Yeah.
So you have to constantly innovate.
Absolutely.
To stay at par with the government, with
government,
other players in the market.
Right.
So what is happening technologically speaking at the technological front? How are you coming up with?
So, we're taking some of the digital assets and expanding it and playing it in areas where we, haven't pushed the frontier, far enough.
Right.
And again,
For example, where can we use UPI? Okay.
Right. Today, most of the deployment of UPI is in India. Right. We want to think about how do we deploy UPI outside of India.
Yeah.
Take an Indian payment instrument and go international with it. Right. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things.
And is the market outside warming up to the?
Well, think about how many Indians are there abroad.
Right.
So imagine you are as a tourist, if you could be in Prague and be able to pay with QR code that's displayed there, and you pay with your HDFC bank app.
Correct.
Well, that would be fantastic.
Absolutely.
Why it can happen. I think
Yeah.
the infrastructure is there.
Mhm.
I think we just got to think big
It's
and
just
figure out how do we enable that.
Right.
And so I think those are exciting things that problems we're trying to crack.
So what kind of growth are you looking at in that case?
So we're looking. That some of these things will take time to ramp up,
Mhm.
but over the year, I think we're very excited. I think I'd be looking at a growth of anywhere from 70 to 100%
Right.
over the course of the year,
Right.
and both business in India
Mhm.
as well as international.
Right. Right. And you have some high-profile investors on board. How are you planning to use this resource at your end?
Yeah, look, we have a great set of investors.
Yeah.
We have a great
Yeah.
board,
Right.
very supportive of us.
Right.
They're excited by the story.
Mhm.
They're also very patient.
Mhm.
There's stuff that can happen that's hype,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
And as Jamaat said, sometimes it's much harder to build a business brick by brick.
Exactly.
So they have the right expectation, or I think we're very aligned.
Mhm.
And they so I think we've never had a challenge raising funds, well connected, we've
Right.
been able to get, so that piece largely for me is like I don't worry about it.
Right.
So it's just go focus on creating the business, creating
Absolutely.
value. I don't want to have to spend my time thinking about how do I manage the board.
Right.
That just takes away from how do you run the company.
Absolutely.
Right? So I think that's one of the things we were blessed with.
And since you had to step up from one role to another, it sort of comes as a boon, I believe.
Yeah, it
Having-
is, yes. Having that, I was lucky in that when I came in too, I had a good relationship with the board.
Right.
So it was a very smooth transition for me.
Right.
They were internally very supportive,
Right.
and they continue to be.
Right.
So.
So I'm aware you just, before we started, you did tell me that you're not looking at a funding in the near future, but maybe sometime later.
I would.
What are the expectations
Look,
then?
honestly,
Yeah.
I don't view funding necessarily as a huge. That's not a goal,
Right.
right?
Right.
It's a means to an end if we're not achieving that means in some other means.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
So for me, it's okay, we have the cash,
Mm-hmm.
we're well positioned, let's just grow.
Mhm.
We'll only go raise additional money if we think it'll accelerate even
Right.
more.
Right.
So you won't hear me come out and say, oh wow, I raised this much, etc. To me, that's not in some ways, I was telling somebody, it's like,
Yeah.
You're taking money from someone. It's
Yeah.
sort of a little bit of, you got to be cognizant that means you didn't generate enough money yourself.
Right.
Right.
And even as a CEO, you have a very different approach to the business, right? I remember how I was telling you, like,
Yeah.
CEO is somewhere, someone told me he's the chief energy officer, but
Right.
but you have a different way of going about it.
Yes, I actually suppose, I struggle with,
Right.
I'm an introvert sort of masquerading as an extrovert.
Okay.
Right.
All right
So,
then.
but, my focus has been more on execution.
Correct.
Really getting good at, companies go through stages, the scaling from 0 to 1, 1 to 10, 10 to 100.
Mm-hmm.
What's needed is different.
Right.
Right? And I think the skill sets vary. And as you want to scale up, you have to get good at execution.
Right.
You cannot, there's lots of different complex moving parts that need to be synchronized together.
True.
And if you don't plan and execute well,
Right.
you're going to suffer.
Right.
So one of the things I'm driving through the company is much more focus on execution,
On execution.
making and meeting commitments. You make
Right.
commitments, you got to meet them.
Right.
And to do that, you've got to be very disciplined about it.
Right. Right. All right. That was a lovely chat. Thank you so much, Byas. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
joining
Santosh.
us.
Yeah.
Absolutely.